I grew up in a time where video games were works of art created with passion and by people that actually gave a damn about the source material, that cared about people having an adventure, people having fun in their games. And the worlds, even though they may not have looked real, they felt real. They had real backbones, they had real soul, they had real flavor, they had real intensity, they had real emotions that were getting evoked and sometimes provoked. I was playing Mass Effect 3 about a couple of weeks ago, or Mass Effect 2 actually. I'm on 3 now, I just don't have the mind to really play it. But I was playing Mass Effect 2, and I was playing Dragon Age The Veilguard. Like, that game is such a shit game compared to the old Dragon Age games, you know? And I stopped playing Dragon Age The Veilguard because it was just so boring and just so fake. And I went to play Mass Effect 2. Like, I love that game so much. I went to every planet in the game, did all the DLC, and the writing was just better. Even the side characters, like the regular people you talk to on the space station, the writing was better than like Dragon Age The Veilguard's main characters. And when I seen that, I'm like, wow. And this is in music, it's in the food quality, it's in almost everything, where a lack of quality control seems to be in control. Nothing's wrong with having your own taste and desires, you know, but we know when there's whack games, we know when there's whack music, we know when things just don't fit, we know when something's real and authentic and when something's not, you know? Like, you know when something's real, you know? And the gaming industry now is just like a big casino, man. They don't care about the quality. They're firing all the employees and replacing it with all this other stuff, AI, and it's just not. It just feels so soulless and corporate. You know, Call of Duty has been guilty of this for like a decade plus now, where it just feels like a corporate cash grab. It feels soulless. It doesn't feel real. It doesn't feel true. It's horrible. That's what gaming has come to. You know, it's not the same. I remember when Grand Theft Auto 3 was a brand new game, and that shit was revolutionary back in the days, you know? And I'm old enough to remember when Pokemon was brand new, like a brand new intellectual property. How many people can say that, right? Millions, actually, that are my age, but, you know. And then watching it keep going all these years when it should have been going a long time ago, but because it's such a cash cow franchise, they keep it on. It's like keeping a zombie, you know, on death row or something weird, you know? It's like, what the fuck, it's a zombie, you know? But they still hold it up for approval. And Call of Duty, I remember Call of Duty was called Medal of Honor back in the PlayStation 1 days, before the controllers even had analog sticks, you know? Who remember those old PlayStation 1 controllers before the analog sticks, you know? And I was playing Medal of Honor, the original Medal of Honors, Medal of Honor Underground, you know, all of Medal of Honor Frontline, Medal of Honor Allied Assault, Pacific Assault, whatever, Medal of Honor Rising Sun, all of them, the classic ones, good games. But they don't make games like that no more, you know? Nowadays, the game doesn't even have, you know, proper, you know, just proper timelines, you know? They'll have weapons that didn't even exist in that particular part of World War II, like Call of Duty Vanguard. It's just, the authenticity has been taken out of creativity and entertainment, and it sucks. Because art is supposed to be the expression of the soul. You would think. But nowadays, everything is just all about, it's all about just, you know, at least the corporate sector. It's all about just turning a profit. They don't care if it's soulless slop, you know? And then you see some people trying to defend these billion-dollar corporations, which I'll never understand. You know? Yeah, billion-dollar entities that are creating enemies of their player base, you know? Skill-based matchmaking is not based on skill. If you read the Activision patent, you know, they literally determine in real time who wins gunfights. That's cheating, you know? Why do they have that in video games now? We didn't need that back in the days. Remember playing Halo 2? The original Halo 2 when it first had the Xbox Live coming in, you know? Remember that? How fun that was? There was nobody cheating in those days. It was all skill and talent and heart and soul. I miss those days. Now, even the food doesn't taste real anymore. It's all genetically modified. Some videos you watch, you don't even know if it's made by an AI or a person unless you really check. It's like, what the hell? What is this reality? Where everything's based on lies and deception and social rejection. Where people are always trying to mess with you or screw with you or trying to find some weakness in you. And if you confront them about it, they'll play dumb like they're not doing anything wrong when they know what they're doing the entire time. Because I guarantee there's somebody they're talking to that they're telling everything to. There's some entity that's watching all of this, all of the suffering of humanity. From the poorest of the poor, to the ugliest of the ugliest, to the rejected of the rejected, to the rejected of the rejected, to those that weren't selected. All trapped in this timeless abyss, feeling pain and agony, trying to gain some type of semblance of happiness and joy. But it's like literally being thrown, like this world is like being thrown in a hostile and alien environment. Everything's trying to kill you. Everything's trying to get your attention, your energy. Everything's trying to destroy you. Everything's trying to attack you. And then if you go up to those people or go up to the entity and say, why are you doing this? They'll have a million excuses in the book or just play dumb. But strength, clarity, and knowledge is gained through pain. Point blank, period. You'll never gain transparency and clarity if you haven't really been through it. That's why some of the most stoic philosophers went through hell. If you read the Bible, you see that the prophets were some of the main ones attacked. They didn't want to hear like the warnings from God or anything like that, so they'll attack and kill the prophets sometimes. And then the God will raise another prophet and do the same thing, that eventually he'll get tired of them and start punishing the people and put them back into like servitude, to other nations. I hope we all can find realness in our souls and realness in our hearts and learn not to be assholes to one another. And just learn to create, innovate, and try to strive for our dreams even though it seems impossible. It's better to try for the impossible than to never try at all. Because to live a life with regrets and insecurities and misery and all that, and just what if you coulda, woulda, shoulda, when you coulda just said, fuck it, who cares about my age, whatever, I'm gonna start now, and just try to do it, even if you fail, even if you fall face flat. If you'd have told me a few years ago that I'd had a channel that got thousands of subscribers and hundreds of thousands of views, then I'd get doxxed, kicked out, thrown into a worse position, but pretty finna get out this position though into a decent position. And still making videos and going through it, it's like, wow, it's like a Spartan warrior. My soul is strong. Nobody can ever deny me strength. Even the ones that try to attack me and break me. If they were in my shoes, going through what I'm going through, in the hands of their enemies, in the hands of people who hate you, people online trying to attack you, and they're still staying strong and maintaining. Most people would never survive that. Most people, they get doxxed online, all that, kicked out, thrown here to this person, you know what I mean? They would have ended themselves. You know how strong you got to be to go through what I've been through? And people tell me about posts about certain people saying they weren't involved, there was this other person, and, it's like, bruh, everybody, Dark Season, the other guy that's obsessed all the time, that's probably watching this video now, and this other person, whoever, it's like, and the other people, you guys are all involved with that Dawson situation. That wasn't just a one person thing. I already got the names of the main people, because people already told me, showed me screenshots, all that, So I know who was involved, but it is what it is, man. I can't keep letting people who are trying to hurt me or attack me or break me, I can't let them, break me. Like, when people are trying to do that, just ignore them. They're just always like, who cares? I've always been like that way. My problems only come from not being around the right people. If I was around the right person, they'll hear something about your voice, they'll hear something about your beats, they'll hear something about your raps, and they would encourage you. and put you in an environment where you can nurture that and turn that into something, then everybody benefits. But when you're around people that are demonic, you know what I mean? Like, it doesn't, like, point blank, you know, it's due to their actions. You know what you're doing when you're when you're doing something to somebody that's wrong. You know what you're doing, and you think something's not watching you. No matter how you justify it, you know it's wrong. Especially that person's not bothering you. You know what I mean? But that's the world we live in today. Brutal, wicked, and twisted and sadistic.